Hey, it's Chad Schleiger. Welcome to my 5-day training where I'm going to show you what I've learned during the last 18 months while creating one of the largest chiropractic offices in Wisconsin, and how a few of these powerful concepts can turn you from an amateur to a professional in any business, but in particular in network marketing, so you can create financial freedom, time freedom, and all the other incredible benefits network marketing has to offer. So if you came here looking for a quick magic pill solution or a quick way to get rich or some feel-good fluff, well, you're probably not going to get as much of this training as somebody who is willing to learn and willing to do whatever it takes to be successful in network marketing. Now, this next piece is really important, so please listen to me very carefully. The worst mistake that anybody can make is to treat this like it's free. If you really want to get the value out of this, you need to act as though as you spent $7,000 on it. Because the reality is, just applying a few of these concepts I'm about to share with you can have a very huge impact in your business. In fact, a few of these has allowed me as well as other chiropractors to create a 6-figure practice by simply giving, serving, and loving people in our community and not having an emotional attachment to the result of the process, which in any business is being profitable. So people have asked me, what's the secret sauce? And I tell them, simply give, serve, and love and expect nothing in return. See, I don't have an emotional attachment to money, and I don't work for a paycheck, and you can do the same. So turn off your cell phone. I want you to get away from the TV. Get rid of every single distraction you have for the next 10 minutes. Many people who don't know my personal story will think that I had it easy, that I grew up a genius, that every opportunity was handed to me, that I came from a family of money. Well, that's not at all the case. You see, in high school, I was the 50% of the class that made the top 50% possible. For the first 3 years of practice, I was only able to take a paycheck home for 11 months. See, I was $250,000 in debt. And although my partner and I, we were collecting pretty good money per month, our cost of overhead was so high that I couldn't pay for anything. My best friend who I was living with was tragically killed, and I had to move back home, and I slept on a floor. I woke up from my mom's floor every morning, put my doctor's hat on, and went to work. I want you to write this down. Your level of success is determined by your degree of challenge. The bigger the challenge, the more successful you'll be, if you use that challenge as a fuel and not as an excuse. They say there are 2 primary motivators in life, the desire for pleasure and the avoidance of pain. Well, you guys can probably guess which one's a bigger motivator, the avoidance of pain. So I made a decision one night while laying on the floor. I told myself, Chad, do whatever it takes to be successful. Do whatever it takes to get yourself out of your situation. Do whatever it takes so that your future children do not experience this. Chad, do whatever it takes to live the life that you were created to live. Now, I wish I could tell you that I woke up the following morning and it was nothing but rainbows and flowers shooting out of my butt from that point on, but the reality is I was not an overnight success. But I knew that night that my situation was not going to be my reality anymore. It was an uphill climb, and I'm still learning and growing today, but I started making steps in the direction of my goal. And one of those steps was to hire an attorney to get me out of my contract. I actually had to buy myself out of the contract that I created with my business partner with a price tag of $41,800. I know, it's a messed up system. So that I could create my own future in the practice of my dreams. And it began by hanging a box on the wall for payment, and I gave my services away with no strings attached, and people invested in their health. And in 18 months, I had the largest chiropractic office in southeastern Wisconsin. So when I present people an opportunity and they tell me, that sounds great, but I don't think I can afford it, or I don't have the time, or whatever excuse it may be, you fill in the blank, I just chose not to fill in the blank. See, I understand that not everybody watching this video is a chiropractor, and you're not going to go back to school and invest $250,000 in your education to do what I do, but you can create a steady stream of passive income while working your full-time job, create the future of your dreams by learning these concepts I'm about to teach you. Of the next 5 videos, this concept in video 1 is going to be the basis for the rest of the videos, so please pay attention. In my opinion, it's the most important concept to your success in any business, and it's not a tactic. So even though I'm going to give you some really good tactics and how-tos in the upcoming videos, I believe it's so much more important to start with who you are. You see, the reason most people fail in business is not because of a lack of tactics. See, if tactics really worked, we'd all be rich, skinny, and happy, wouldn't we? You see, success starts with the inner game. So let's start with the foundation of success. I want you guys to remember this. The tallest tree in the forest is the one who gets the most water and sunlight and has the deepest root system. So let's talk about the root system to get this thing to grow, and tomorrow we'll talk about the water and the sunlight. So if you're listening to me right now, chances are you're like the rest of us, and you want the lifestyle of a full-time network marketer. Lifestyle. So for some of us, that might be superficial things. I don't mean to say superficial in a bad way, but it might be things like driving fancy cars or having multiple dreams homes or taking expensive exotic trips. And for others, it might be things like paying for your kids' college tuition or building your passive income equal or greater to your active income in case something happens at work or you lose your job or you get hurt, or maybe you just want to be able to give more away, or you want to be a stay-at-home parent for your kids and watch them grow up horizontally as well as vertically. So in order to have that lifestyle, you need to have success. Success. So if you build a big enough network, if you enroll enough people, if you help enough people, if you build enough teams, if you grow your organization big enough, you'll have the lifestyle that you set out to have. And that success comes from taking action. So you learn some tactics, you set some goals, you have a dream board, you know what you need to do, and you know the work that you got to do, and you go through the numbers. And actions are where you have to break out of your comfort zone, but for whatever reason, in many cases, you can't seem to get yourself to do the right action consistently. So if you're anything like me, I'd focus on the actions and I'd beat myself up. I couldn't get myself to pick up the phone, invite somebody to a meeting, meet people, ask for their phone numbers, host an event, or do a talk. This might sound familiar. Because I didn't have the courage or the discipline to do those things, I'd beat myself up, call myself names, get frustrated, question my abilities, and that, of course, led to the blame game. So rather than taking responsibility for my lack of success, I started to blame the company, I blamed my friends and family members who didn't want to join, I blamed my business partner, the compensation plan, I would even blame society's opinion about my profession. You see, the blame game is the most popular game in the world because it's so much easier to justify your failure than it is to take responsibility for it. So I'd go back home, I'd wallow in my old cesspool of mediocrity with all my buddies who welcomed me back with open arms, with offerings of alcohol and invited me to parties. I want you guys to write this down. Common men love common men because they justify each other's averageness. Now thank God I was just some hopeless dreamer and that I was just way too stubborn to give up. And instead of going out drinking and partying, I went to more events. I stayed up late reading books. I invested in myself with those books and those CDs, and I eventually realized that if I wanted the lifestyle and success, then I'd have to go deeper than just actions. So where do actions come from? Actions come from feelings. Feelings. Simply put, if you feel like picking up the phone to call somebody, you'll do it. You can call that motivation. If you don't feel enough motivation to pick up the phone or overcome your fear, you won't. But you can't focus on feelings and motivation because motivation is only surface deep. I want to ask you this. Have you ever heard a talk or a presentation, or you went to an event and after leaving it, you're all charged up and ready to take on the world, only to wonder what happened to that feeling just a day or two later? That's because external motivation is temporary, which is why we need to get to our internal motivation, which is how we feel consistently about ourselves. And how we feel consistently about ourselves is based on our beliefs. So beliefs have to do with who you are as a person. If you have a poor belief system as it relates to your profession, then any success you have is going to be short-lived. So what most people don't realize is most of what you believe about yourself is actually doing you more harm than good. You see, most people are walking around completely blind to what is leading to their own self-sabotage. So if you look at the middle three letters of belief, L-I-E, you can see that it spells lie. Most of our beliefs are just made-up lies that we believe we are as a person. You see, for years, I believed that I was too young, that I wasn't smart enough, that I was too shy, that I had a stammer and I was a terrible communicator, and I couldn't speak in public. See, these are all lies that I made up because of what's even one level deeper than beliefs, and that's programming. Programming. So our beliefs are programmed by three things: your experiences, your external programming, or as I call it, the outside-in programming, and internal programming, or as I refer to it as the inside-out programming, which is the most powerful way to reprogram yourself. So for me, I went through experiences as a kid like speech therapy for my stammer. In high school, I was terrified to speak in public, get up in front of my classmates and do a talk. And when I did, I had teachers and professors remind me that I was horrible at it by giving me bad grades. So I went through enough experiences in external programming that I started to actually believe it more myself. So I started to internally program myself that I was a poor communicator, and building relationships for me became almost next to impossible. But once I had the awareness that none of those negative beliefs I said about myself or others said about me or that I experienced had to be true, then I could reprogram my belief system into whatever I wanted to be, which led me to create consistent action, which then led to success and then the lifestyle. So here's the truth. If you don't intentionally create a positive belief system for yourself, you're going to live a disempowering one, which is going to lead to a mediocre life at best. The belief system of who you are as a person has to be created with design. So it's an intentional act, so the tactics, which we teach later on, really don't matter. You see, in any business, if you build people, they will build the business. If you program yourself as well as those around you with personal development and the correct mindset and programming, then your success won't be short-lived. You see, people don't think twice about spending thousands of dollars for fuel for their car, but they never invest in fuel for their most important asset, their mind. So I want you guys to remember this. You can write this down. If you empty your wallet into your mind will fill up your wallet. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you feel it'll benefit somebody else, please share it around. In the next video, I'll cover the 2 things that help me create my belief system, recreate my belief system most effectively and most efficiently. God bless and live life in abundance.